Last year, S&S shocked the coaster industry by unveiling the Axis Coaster. This coaster is an insane mix between a suspended coaster and a 4D coaster. The moment this awesome ride was announced, the guesses and speculations started coming in about which park was going to be the first to receive one of these coasters. The majority of coaster enthusiasts came to the conclusion that this coaster would either come in 2021 or 2022. Well, currently, it's in the middle of 2020 and we can't really tell if we'll see the first one come in 2021 just yet. So that begs the question of when will we see one of these awesome rides come to a park, and which park will it go to? And what if this coaster never gets built at all? So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. In this video, I will be entirely focusing on S&S and their Axis Coaster model. I'm going to be going in depth and trying to determine when or if we will see one of these coasters, and if never, where did S&S go wrong? You probably don't quite understand the title of this video, but I will explain everything. So stay tuned as we answer the question of, is the S&S Axis Coaster a failure? But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I post new videos every week and I really enjoy doing so. But now let's get to the video. S&S is one of the most innovative companies to ever exist. They've already come out with so many different types of coasters, so the innovation of the Axis Coaster is not really surprising. This model looks absolutely amazing, and it will be an experience like no other. You probably already know, but in case you don't, the S&S Axis Coaster is basically a mix between the classic Aero suspended coaster and a 4D coaster. Like a 4D coaster, or more specifically the 4D free spin, the amount of weight in your car determines how much you flip. But unlike the 4D free spin, your car flips from left to right instead of doing a front flip or a back flip. Another difference is the fact that the Axis Coaster will be somewhat predictable when it flips. It's still determined by the weight, but there will be certain points on the ride where all the cars flip upside down at the same time. This is truly an amazing looking ride, and all the people who have rode the prototype say it's absolutely amazing. So that begs the question of which park will be the first to add this awesome ride. Six Flags and S&S seem to have a pretty good relationship, so I wouldn't be surprised if they took a chance and added this ride to one of their parks. Six Flags as a whole is a company that doesn't mind taking small risks. They were the first company to get an RMC hybrid, the first to get a 4D free spin, the first to get a Skywarp, and the first to get a single rail coaster. You can clearly see that if the price is right, Six Flags isn't quite worried about getting a prototype ride. Six Flags has a lot of parks, but I could only see them adding the Axis Coaster at a few of them. Those are Six Flags Over Texas, Six Flags Great America, Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, Magic Mountain, Fiesta Texas, and New England. Out of all those, my top 3 contenders would be Over Texas, Discovery Kingdom, and Fiesta Texas. Six Flags isn't in the greatest financial shape right now as a company, but I would assume that this coaster would still be in their budget because it's made by S&S. Cedar Fair, on the other hand, is kind of tricky. At first I thought there was no chance of them adding the Axis Coaster, mainly because they haven't worked with S&S in a while. But then I remembered something. I remembered that the rumored 4D free spin is going to King's Dominion. This proves that they are at least in talks with S&S, so that makes it entirely possible for them. The only Cedar Fair parks that I could see adding an Axis Coaster would be King's Dominion, Carowinds, Kings Island, Cedar Point, and California's Great America. All the parks that I mentioned are extremely possible candidates for an Axis Coaster. The only one that's a little bit of a stretch is King's Dominion. King's Dominion isn't at the top of Cedar Fair's priorities, and they're already rumored to be getting the free spin in 2021, so the only way that I could see them adding the Axis Coaster would be to make it a replacement for Volcano. And I know that sounds completely crazy, but this would honestly be a pretty cool replacement for Volcano, especially if they incorporated a launch. Now, to be honest, I honestly don't see this happening at all. It's mostly wishful thinking, especially because there's a lot more King's Dominion needs before this, but it's not totally impossible. Other than that, the SeaWorld parks are a complete toss-up. They've technically worked with S&S before with the Screamin' Swings, but with that being said, they haven't really done a major coaster with them yet. Maybe the Axis Coaster would be their first. So I'm saying that all of the SeaWorld parks are on the table as of now. The final park in the US that I think even has a slight chance of adding the Axis Coaster would be Dollywood. Unlike its sister park, Silver Dollar City, Dollywood doesn't have any type of spinning / 4D coaster, and the Axis Coaster might fit that gap, but I still think it's unlikely. The other question that keeps being thrown around is when would we actually see one of these coasters get built? As of now, 2021 seems unlikely except for one chain. That chain is Six Flags. If any chain was going to add one of these coasters so soon, Six Flags would be the first. As of now, there are absolutely no rumors, but granted the parks haven't even opened up yet. Six Flags is notorious for starting construction really late and opening their rides really late in the season, so in my opinion, if we were going to see this coaster at all in the 2021 season, Six Flags would be the chain to do it. Otherwise, we'd probably have to wait until 2022 or longer. Now if I had to guess which Six Flags park would get this coaster, I'd say Fiesta Texas or a long shot Discovery Kingdom. So the general consensus among enthusiasts is that because this ride looks so awesome, it's going to get built pretty soon within the next 5 years. I fall into that category because I think this will be built sometime soon, but unfortunately it's not necessarily true. What the majority of coaster enthusiasts don't understand or overlook is the fact that there is a tiny chance that this coaster may never get built at all. Ever. Let me explain. The Axis coaster was announced last year, but at IAAPA we learned more information about it. IAAPA is basically a giant amusement park industry trade show. It looks really good and I hope to go this year. But with that being said, sometimes the new coaster types that are announced there don't get built at all. One example is the Chance Unicoaster 2.0. It's basically the Unicoaster flat ride but on an actual track, where the riders can control their speed and how much they flip. It's a pretty cool concept, but as of now, for one reason or another, it never ended up being built. There are many possible reasons why the concept failed, but nevertheless it did. Another more recent coaster that hasn't quite been built yet was the S&S Steeplechase. For some reason or another, it hasn't been built yet, and there are countless coaster models from a wide range of manufacturers that ended up never being built at all. I'm not saying that the Axis coaster is going to fail. In fact, I believe the exact opposite. But you can't ignore the fact that certain coaster types just fail and never get built or only get built once. Even coasters made by S&S didn't quite turn out as they hoped, such as the Freefly X, which never got built, and the Family Freefly, which because of its terrible capacity only got built once. With all these past failing coasters, do I think S&S finally made a coaster that will take the coaster industry by storm and be the must-have attraction for parks? Maybe. It's hard to tell right now if this model will be a success or not. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a good ride. The thing S&S needs is for any park to take a chance on them by adding this awesome ride. And if they do this, parks will see if this coaster is a success or not and invest more in the future. In my opinion, this is all they need. All they need is a starting push from a park to take a chance on them to get started. If they can do this, they will build bigger, faster, and most definitely taller. When more parks are willing to pay more to get a bigger ride that could possibly be a bestseller coaster type, it will be very good for the coaster industry and all of us. It will be like the 40 free spin except actually good. So, do I think the Axis coaster is a failure? No, I do not. I think that this coaster model will eventually get built and it will succeed. But there is always the unfortunate scenario where because this is such a unique coaster, no park is brave enough to get the first one, and therefore this awesome coaster dies without ever being built. Luckily for us, I don't think that will happen. Once Six Flags or whoever builds the first one, as long as it's a really good, reliable, smooth ride, I would expect to see more come soon after that. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see content just like this every week. And comment below your thoughts on the S&S Axis coaster. Where do you think the first one will be built? This is The Coaster Josh signing out.